Hey guys, this week I gave myself a huge challenge to malt a whole bag of barley all at once. So I'm going to make a pale malt, and it started out as feed barley. I got this bag, it's 20 kilograms, so about 44 pounds, for $12, and I've washed it. Actually, first thing I did was measure the moisture content, and it was very high, it's 15%. Any higher than that and you start to get mold problems. So not the best grain to use. Obviously it's feed barley. There's a lot of things wrong with it. Weed seeds, broken barley seeds, lots of dirt. Anyway, I've got a post about that on my blog. You can check that out. But I just wanted to put my kiln through its paces and to see if it could actually do it. So what's in here right now, this is my kiln tray, and I've just got about half the barley. The other half is in a bin here. It's just been washed. It's about 2 inches deep, so if all of it was in here it would be about 4 inches. But the problem is, once it's malted, it's gonna almost double in volume. So I'm looking at a good 6 to 8 inches. I'm not even sure if it's gonna fit, but I'm gonna cross that bridge when I get to it, and I'm just gonna go for it and see what happens. So this bucket holds half a bag, which is awesome because I'm going to use this as my strainer while I'm germinating. I've just drilled a bunch of holes on the bottom, and so I can just leave it and let it drain into the sink. Now this is what came out of the whole bag. These are all the weed seeds, the underripe barley seeds, and the possibly rotten seeds that floated to the top. I'm going to weigh it, but it looks to be maybe about an ounce or two at the most, which is not very significant as far as the calculations go. I'm shooting for a 43% moisture content. Now I'm also going to have this batch. This is 1 kilogram exactly, and I just thought it would make measuring a lot easier if I could do this alongside the rest of it. That way I can just have this in a small tray and weigh it to see if my moisture content is at the right spot. Ideally you want to use unchlorinated water for the whole process. I washed my grain with chlorinated water just because it would be pretty much impossible not to use the tap water to clean out the grain. But for the steeping water, I'm going to use half a Kempton tablet for about 10 gallons of water. I'm going to let that sit for 8 hours. So I'm just picking out the wild oat seeds and trying to pick out some broken ones, but those you don't have to worry about too much because they'll just end up being raw barley. It's the little green ones you really want to find and pick out, because those just end up rotting. And if anything's going to affect the flavor of the beer, it's going to be rotten grains and weed seeds. So I'm just spending a few minutes in between steeps picking these out. It's definitely not as fresh smelling as my homegrown barley. It's not really bad, and it's getting a lot better with each rinse. It's not exactly musty, but maybe a bit more like a barn. You can see a huge variety of colors and sizes and shapes, so this could be a few different types of barley, all sort of thrown in. It's kind of like the ground beef of barley. Cheap and kind of a mystery. Okay, after 2 steeps, it has already started to chit. You can see the little white specks on the ends of the grains. Unfortunately, I haven't reached my target steep weight yet, so I'm gonna give it one more steep for maybe about 4 hours. I'm pretty close. Okay, I'm at 1.5. Target weight was 1.49, so I'm just above. At 14.5 degrees. This is basically the first day after steeping. You can see a lot of the rootlets coming out, and it's a perfect temperature. We've just had some great weather lately, and 13 degrees is optimal for a very long, slow germination, but 15 to 18 will sort of give you a more rapid germination. And the advantage of a long, slow germination is to develop a lot of enzymes. You develop more enzymes with the slow germination. Okay, we're into day 5 of this malt. I just wanted to show you guys how I've got it germinating. I've split it up into 4 different bins just to get the depth a little bit lower. It was getting kind of warm. The first couple of days it actually got right up to 21 degrees, and it's since cooled down. So we're just giving it a stir to keep it from clumping. At this point, I have to determine whether it's ready to go into the kiln. This malt grew rather quickly, although there's quite a few grains that didn't germinate, probably about 20%, which is a lot. And so I've just been looking to try to find some acrospires that are growing too long. And it seems to be okay. Roots are starting to wilt a little bit. That's a good sign. It means the growth is slowing down. Probably the most significant problem with feed barley is the rate of germination. Every so often I've taken about 100 grains out and counted which ones have germinated and which ones haven't. And I'm getting numbers that are about 20 to 25% ungerminated. Now that's quite a lot. I mean, if you consider that regular malting barley you get 95 or more, up to 100% germination. That's 20% raw barley that's going to be in your mash. So that's a big number. So that's one thing to calculate into your recipe formulation, that you're going to have a lot of raw barley in there, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's still going to make beer. These grains don't look bad. I can see a couple of these grains are kind of black, which look kind of moldy, that's not good for sure. So besides the fact that it's really dirty and that there's weed seeds in it that you got to pick out, you have this issue of germination, which I think is the most significant problem with feed barley. So I'm going to put my 1 kilogram sample into this mesh bag. This bag only weighs 8 grams. It's like a nylon or something. And that I'm going to put into the kiln as well, just so I can take it out and weigh it and figure out the moisture content really quickly. Alright, I've got it all in the kiln. Only problem is I can't close the lid because it's too high. This is 7.5 inches deep. So it's a very thick bed. I've also got the a little sample bag that's sort of buried in there. I can feel the air coming through a little bit. I've got a little bit of heat on it. Underneath it's about 30 degrees Celsius. Within the bed it's about 25. Probably just keep the lid off. I'm hoping that after it starts to wilt and the roots wither a little bit, that the actual depth of the bed will decrease, and then I can possibly close the lid, making it a little more consistent. But if I were to do this again, I'd only do a half a bag at a time. Okay, it's now the next day. It's been 19 hours since I put the malt in the kiln. Temperatures sort of remain steady around 42 degrees Celsius. The temperature of the malt right now is 36 degrees, but that's right at the bottom of the tray. Near the top it's around 28. And after about 6 hours, the grain was dry enough that I could put the lid on. The volume shrank quite a bit. And the moisture content right now is back down to the original 1 kilogram. So I know the moisture content was 15%. So I'm going to turn the fan off at this point and let the kiln heat up a little bit more. Okay, we're approaching 24 hours of kilning. The temperature has been pretty steady. Now, right below the kiln, it's 65 degrees Celsius. And at the base of the malt, it is 45 degrees Celsius, which is just perfect. It's still below 50. It is 7 in the morning, and it's been kilning for 42 hours now. Temperature's been steady at about 65, 66 degrees. And the malt temperature has started to rise. It's now at 54. It started to rise last night about 9 o'clock. It went from 45, started climbing up. It's at 47. That's the temperature right at the base of the bed, right by the tray. So that's going to be the hottest area. Now if I minus the 8 grams that the bag weighs, puts me at 962 grams. Okay, so that puts me at 11.5%. Which, you know what, it's close enough for me. I'm going to put this in the oven and start curing it. I'll probably start with the temperature at about 170. That's the lowest my oven goes, so that's like 70 Celsius. I'll keep it there for about an hour, and then I'm going to bump it up to the curing temperatures of 190 for 3 hours. Trick is, how do I get all of this into the oven when I forgot to build some handles? There, now we'll see if this fits in the oven. Okay, the malt temperature is now at 75 degrees Celsius. I decided to put it back in the oven for another couple hours because the kernels seemed a little bit chewy. So I thought maybe it could use a couple more hours. And there you have it. A whole bag, 44 pounds of barley malted. Now I just have to take off the roots. Roots are 7 3/4 ounces, and that is 220 grams.